Many think they know who the first pharaoh of Egypt was, but the truth is that the answer is not so simple. To find out, we must travel back in time over 5,000 years to an era when Egypt had no pyramids, great temples, or colossal statues that we all know today. It was a vast and diverse land, crossed by a single lifeline, the Nile River. This is travel in history, where every mystery has a story and every story hides a deeper secret. A simple click to subscribe to the channel can always do little, but for us it means too much. It is a gesture that supports us, encourages us, and allows us to continue to grow this journey into mystery. Join us as we explore strange facts, dark legends, and the questions no one dares to ask. If you're curious, brave, and love a good mystery, you're in the right place. Subscribe and let the journey begin. This river was much more than just a waterway. It was a line of life that transformed the desert into a fertile strip capable of feeding entire communities. At that time, the country was divided into two separate kingdoms. Upper Egypt, in the south, was a dry and rocky land, with desert hills and narrow valleys along the Nile, where cities developed into small settlements protected by mountains. Lower Egypt, in the north, was the Nile Delta, a green and water-rich region made of canals, lagoons, and cultivated fields, naturally protected by marshes and reeds. They were two different worlds, with different dialects, customs, and deities, and often two kings ready to defend their territories. Rivalries and alliances changed over time, but the idea of uniting these two lands slowly began to take shape in the minds of some ambitious rulers. Archaeologists call this the pre-dynastic period, meaning before the dynasties. It was a very long and fascinating phase, lasting from 5,500 to 3,100 BCE, during which the ancient Egyptians were not yet a united people, but already shared some traditions and ways of life that would become the foundation of their millennial civilization. Life took place in small farming villages built with mud and straw near the river to cultivate wheat, barley, and flax. Agriculture was accompanied by fishing and hunting. The Nile's waters offered tilapia and catfish, while wilder areas were home to gazelles, antelopes, and water birds. At that time, the first forms of craftsmanship also developed: stone tools, copper weapons, decorated ceramics, and jewelry made with semi-precious stones coming from distant areas. The Nile was the great road that connected everything. Small wooden or papyrus boats sailed from village to village, carrying food, textiles, and building materials. Religious beliefs were also present. Each community had local deities, often represented by sacred animals such as the falcon or the scorpion, symbols that we would find again in later centuries. However, tensions were not lacking. Clashes between clans over control of fertile lands and trade routes became increasingly frequent. And precisely from these rivalries, step by step, the idea of a single power capable of ruling the two lands was born. A power that would mark the beginning of the history of the pharaohs. According to tradition and Manetho's royal list, the first ruler of unified Egypt was Narmer, a name inscribed on stone tablets, like the famous Narmer Palette found at Hierakonpolis. On it, the king appears wearing the two crowns, the white crown of Upper Egypt and the red crown of Lower Egypt. This image is powerful. He is not just a victorious king, but the living symbol of the country's unity. Yet, some ancient texts mention a king called Menes, credited as the founder of the first dynasty. Narmer and Menes are the same person? Here lies the mystery. Many scholars believe Menes was another name for Narmer, perhaps an honorary title. Others argue that Menes was his successor, Aha, who truly consolidated the new kingdom. Archaeological evidence is not definitive. Some seals and inscriptions seem to attribute the founding of Memphis, the new capital, to a ruler succeeding Narmer. This has fueled a debate that continues to this day. If we dig further back, we find traces of an enigmatic ruler known as the Scorpion King. His name, represented by a scorpion hieroglyph, appears on ancient pottery fragments and a ceremonial mace. Some believe he laid the groundwork for unification, conquering part of the delta. But the lack of clear documents makes his figure almost mythical, a bridge between legend and history. Whoever was really the first pharaoh, his reign marked the start of the first dynasty, opening a history that would last 3,000 years. With unification, a centralized government system was born, a royal cult that saw the pharaoh as intermediary between gods and men, and an artistic and religious culture that still fascinates us today. Wearing the two crowns became the symbol of supreme power, and the new capital, Memphis, a strategic center between the delta and the south. Archaeological discoveries, mummies and artifacts of the first pharaoh. Excavations in tombs attributed to the early Egyptian rulers have yielded important finds that help us better understand this crucial period. Among these, mummies found in the necropolises of Abydos and Hierakonpolis provide valuable information about funerary practices and the social structure of the time. Although embalming techniques were still primitive compared to later dynasties, they show significant evolution, with the use of resins and bandages anticipating the classic forms of mummification. Alongside the mummies, objects of extraordinary craftsmanship were found: jewelry, ceremonial weapons, finely decorated ceramics, and tablets with hieroglyphic inscriptions, confirming the existence of a central authority and the beginning of a royal cult. The Narmer Palette, for example, is not only a historical document, but also an artistic artifact that testifies to the power and symbolic unification of the two lands. These discoveries constitute tangible proof of an emerging government system and a rapidly developing culture, which laid the foundations for the Old Kingdom and the long pharaonic history of Egypt. The mystery continues today. The tombs attributed to Narmer, Aha, or the Scorpion King are still being excavated and studied. Every stone fragment, every seal, every layer of sand could hide the definitive proof of who was the true first pharaoh. Perhaps one day, an archaeological discovery will give us the answer. Until then, the face of Egypt's first ruler remains shrouded in mystery. But his name, or his names, will continue to take us back in time, to the dawn of one of history's greatest civilizations. If you know more or have theories, let us know in the comments. We read them all. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video, and don't forget to subscribe for more mysteries like this one.